smudging through the window there, and I thought he's shut his eyes, and he absolutely just stroked the pink in. Watch this.
Good grief. Whatever works for you, use it.
I think probably he's quite interested. He thinks he's lining up on the shot differently, and you know, if the argument would be if you're lined up on the shot correctly, you just can deliver the cue, and that's perhaps what he's proving to himself by doing that, shutting your eyes. Mark Williams, I believe, is a player that likes to look at the cue ball when he strikes the shot, as opposed to the object ball. Therefore, you can probably sort of argue that there's no need to look at that object ball. There's no need to look at anything other than delivering the cue. It's an interesting problem snooker players have. There's two balls. Which one do you look at different times?
You boys were actually saying, as we were watching that frame, Mark Williams is just a really difficult guy to let get in front. You do not want to be chasing this man. Why not?
But because he can play all sorts of frames. He doesn't mind how the game goes. There's no weaknesses in his game, so he'd be a horrible player to go 3, 4, 5 frames and start to chase.
Well, that is what John Higgins, the man who is chasing a 5th world title, is having to do right now. 3-0 down.
Yes, and good stuff there, the boys. Hazel, John is definitely on the chase this morning. Not settled as yet. Surprising, 3 frames in. Mark, absolutely horizontal out there, so laid back. The occasion almost meaningless in his mind.
I hadn't realised he closed his eyes on the pink. You see it happen sometimes on a straightforward black, but he was miles away from the pink. How can you close your eyes and knock a pink like that in? Now have a look at this. Now if you're right behind a black you would maybe try that, but the pink's miles away. Look where the pink is. Well, that's astonishing. Well, there's another absolute gem of a long pot. And the bookies, Alan, had made John Higgins a fairly strong favourite. I think it was 4-7. That's where you'd have to put £7 down to win 4.
9.
But at the moment, this Welsh player is defying those odds.
Someone else actually just thinking about Mark Williams' technique. He stays down in the shot longer than he ever did back in the day. If you probably looked at a video from him, saying video showing my age, but he stays down in the shot for, yeah, that's gone wrong now. Yeah, disappointed with that being wrong side of the blue, but it was going back to the long pot.
40.
That's cracking long pot a minute or so ago. When he's feathering at the cue ball, it's actually very deliberate compared to the way he used to be. It was a couple of just light feathers, really quick, and off he went. You see here, he stays down for quite a bit of time. Oh, good shot.
Mark Williams, 14.
Yeah, I think the yellow's coming to the rescue. as you can see, mid-session interval coming up after this frame. That's what you call a slow swerve, and the side takes the white to the red. John feels that he might be able to pot a red in the left middle pocket. Must be tight. Not easy, this one. Good cueing, very good cueing. Had to make something happen, and that certainly has given him a very good chance here.
Seven. Eight.
%, concentration required. He doesn't want to do what he did in
50.
the previous frame when he left himself hampered.
60. $23. 24.
He just needs this for his own belief, John Higgins. Not so, sounds a bit silly, but not even so much winning
31.
the frame, but the way he wins this. If he can win it in one visit, it'll just reaffirm to him in his
32.
own mind that he's feeling confident in hitting the ball well, because he definitely is. There's no doubt about it. But it's all right. Thinking the game, you know, talking the talk. You've got to walk the walk. This is better.
39.
He certainly walked the walk against
40.
Kyron Wilson, because he made 2 centuries and a 90+ break in 3 of the last 4 frames.
$47. $48. $55.
Could have been better. Can still pot this red, but it's a bit of a cutback. No problem getting on a colour. It's all about the pot here. Oh, we got a kick. What a time to get a heavy contact.
John
How
Higgins.
unlucky is that?
55.
He's got the frame at his mercy, and he gets a heavy contact.
One.
And all of a sudden, Mark Williams in with a chance. Three-nil behind, going along nicely, about to win your first frame, and that happens. You get a
8.
kick.
Nine.
There's one awkward red, and he's got an angle here. He may not play to move it this time. He'll leave it there. Well, John,
60.
very unfortunate there. Meanwhile, Mark has come up a little bit short. Similar type shot to the one that John got the kick on.
$22. 23.
All about that last red.
30.
It's behind the black. This is not a gimme here, but he's going along nicely here.
31.
What a body blow this would be, Alan.
Yeah, he's trying to develop the red, is he? You know, dropping it in, so again he's backing himself. I said earlier about great champions, they just seem to know the right path on these clearances.
38.
Biggest shot of the final so far. Nope.
Mark Williams, 38.
So that kick hasn't cost John the frame, not yet, as we show you that difficult one along the cushion, but it's ran safe. And what a difference that can make at times when you do miss. When you're playing well, you always seem to get away with it. When you're not, if you miss, you stick the pot up.
Thanks.
Puff of the cheeks there from John. It's been a tough mini session here for him. And now he's got a chance to get his first frame on the board.
Yeah, massive difference, isn't it? John getting close to 3-1. You start going 4-0, 5-0 behind you. You're probably not, if you're ever going to catch your opponent, you're probably not going to catch him till probably sometime tomorrow afternoon. That's at best. It's important he gets himself into the match here. Under normal circumstances, this is just, well, a formality. And he's lost the cue ball just a touch. Work to do. Not the best player in the world with the rest is John.
3.
Don't get me wrong, he's not poor with it. He's just not as good as one or two the fellow top 16 players. Big shot now.
over the
5.
place with the cue ball at the moment. It was as if he hadn't made his mind up whether to roll it in or stun it in, Alan.
Yeah, I agreed then, but actually, if we could see John cueing at the rest, his tips on feather, and it's probably about 3 or 4 inches back from the cue ball, so when you go to deliver, you're kind of trying to search for the cue ball. Oh, that was a big shot. Here's another. I think he's playing for the brown and the yellow pocket. Nope. It's not his favourite implement, there's no
John
question
Higgins,
about it.
5.
And this will be a body blow because it was the kick that cost him this frame. Okay, bad positional shot on the green. But it wasn't his fault that he got the heavy contact.
3. Seven.
And that wasn't the best positional shot that Mark's ever played. But that was an excellent positional shot played with loads of side there, Alan.
Yeah, played it with check. What a brave shot as well as anything. In goes the pink. John Higgins got a kick into his chance. They consider himself unfortunate, but Mark Williams won't mind it one bit. He goes to the first mid-session interval and he leads the final 4 frames to 0.
Very much so. He's at the height of pressure. He'll still share a joke. I mean, we're the final of the World Championship. We've already said he's, stealing sweets off someone in the audience. He's unique.
Okay, let's see how long the sugar rush lasts, or indeed how John Higgins responds. 4-0 down.
Thank you, frame 5. Mark Williams to break.
Off we go then. Mark Williams, frame 5 of the World Championship final, and leading 4 frames to 0. Cracking little couple of chats that, wasn't it, with the boys and Rob Walker last evening.
Mark at 90%, this is where you want to be, or just over. John at 83%. And that's not a bad start. Needs to keep rolling though. Doesn't seem to be quite as fast, this cloth.
Yeah, thank you. Foul. John Higgins 1.
Yeah, John told the referee
Mark
that he
Williams,
didn't
4.
quite make it.
Free ball.
And he's left a free ball, trying to be so delicate there. Let's have a look at it. Amazing.
Yeah, there was a famous one in the final last year, where Mark Selby trying to nestle in behind the black down this end. It was brilliant refereeing then by Jan.
Green ball.
Brendan Moore, another top-class referee in charge of this year's final, his second. There he is, Brendan, casting his beady eye over proceedings. Local lad. Amazing to think, actually, just thinking about Mark Williams and some of the great things he's managed to achieve in his long career. He was actually the world senior champion just over 3 years ago.
Yeah, how did he ever get to play in that? He was only 39 at the time as well, Alan. He had to be over 40. Sneaked his way into it and won it.
John being positive here, in and out of bulk, top side of blue. Good shot.
Yeah, excellent. Sometimes the mid-session interval can change things around. It's a bit of a chance, but the black's tied up, the pink's tied up. It's not a good chance. The reds are nicely placed.
Six.
Yeah, it's a bit of a risk if he was to take the one to the right of the black and try and develop it. It could go wrong. He's looked at the possibility, doesn't like it. So straight back off the cushion for the blue again. You've got the perfect picture of the screw back. Oh, didn't put it in the center of the pocket, that's for sure. Seemed to jump a little bit, that. Let's have a look. There's a slight detection where the red jumped. You see, he's got a red too from the black there to the left. There's no use, there's no position off that.
$13.
Now he might just take the chance here of going straight into the pink. That could really open things up. Brought a couple of reds into play, but he was hoping to play that cannon in such a way that the pink would have been
80.
brought into play. So still a lot to do here to keep getting back for the blue.
$90.
That's perfect, absolutely perfect.
Yes, played that lovely. That's actually the best shot John's struck so far in this final. I'll give him some confidence. Playing for two reds obviously here. He just can't quite get the pink in the open play just yet.
24.
But he didn't play that too well there. White should have been further up the table. Change of plan now to get back for the blue off this one into the left corner. It's not the one he played for, but
25.
he's safely back the correct side of the blue. Once again, he's lost the cue ball just a little bit. This is thinner than he wanted.
Yeah, he's definitely finding the bed of the table just a touch on the slow side as John.
31.
2 or 3 the last few shots, he just keeps landing short. Decent position again though.
And now he's got a chance if he finishes on this red to the right of the black. Well, he's looking at the other one, but he was playing on this one so that he could pot it and just cannon the red away from the black. But he's not far enough up the table for that.
Yep.
If he can get to 64, he'll get his first frame on the board, you would think.
Yeah, Stephen said in studio, it's a funny dynamic that's going on right now. Until John gets his first frame, he ain't gonna feel settled. And it's with champions like John, as he said, if it was a decider and he had to make that clearance in the last frame, you'd fancy him all day long.
Well, he's had to work so hard for this break. He's been up and down the table. He's been all over the place.
42.
Ahead, so not that many pots away from his first frame in this year's final.
Okay. 49.
It's a kind of strange one, the way the match has gone so far. You know, these matches, a lot of time you get a feeling of what's going on out there. It feels to me that
55.
John looks the more likely to score heavy, and yet he's 4-0 behind. That was a kick that did for him in that last frame, but he definitely looks
56.
good when he's in close.
Yeah, look at that high break of marks, 42 to lead 4-0. But I think we might see a different John Higgins now that
62.
he's got the first frame on the board. Just needs this red to make absolutely certain.
63.
Yeah, there's one player in the game who's never going to panic, even though he lost all four and was 4-0 behind.
69.
He knew that the mid-session interval could change things around, and it looks as if it has. John's had 7 centuries so far in this year's Betfred World Championship. And we've had 78
76.
in the tournament, chasing that record of 86.
77.
We'd have to have 9 centuries in the final to beat that record that was set
84.
a few years ago.
85.
This is a player that's had 54 centuries this season.
'92. 94.
So normal play resumes for the Wizard of Wishaw.
'97.
That's a fabulous century from John Higgins.
106.
Yes, the path that you have travelled matters not. It's only the path that you're on that really
112.
matters. Fabulous. 119 of the finest. John Higgins gets his first frame in the board of the World Final and trails Mark Williams by 4 frames to 1.
Here, and this is Tudor Square, where the big screen is located, and a lot of people around Sheffield are camped out. They're watching there, they're enjoying the sunshine on this bank holiday weekend, and indeed events in this final, because from 4-0 behind, John Higgins is trying to do what was last done in 2004. Now, the last time a player came from 4-0 down and actually win was Ronnie O'Sullivan. He overturned a 5-0 deficit against Graham Dott back then. And of course it was famously done in 1985, but we'll just gloss over that one as well. I think that was 8-0 at some point to Steve Davis. But there we go. It has been done, Stephen, several times.
Yeah, we're still very early in this match, and as Steve pointed out, Mark Williams' highest break was only 42, so it's not as if he'd really dominated the first 4 frames. Okay, he was the farm where he settled more quickly and he looked more comfortable at the table, but he didn't really, you couldn't say he dominated it. So, I mean, that's the ideal way for John Higgins to get his final up and running. You know, it's been one of the best break, but people talk about his all-round match game and how much of a great safety player is, but that's his strength, what he just did there.
It is. That's his 8th ton of the championship. Interesting to note that he's been bettered in this championship by Mark Williams. He's made 10 so far and counting. And this was the man who famously didn't really bother about finishing off the big breaks. He was quite happy to win the frame. Not now.
And a poor break off from John to bring the red up and leave Mark with an early chance. Yeah, that was John's 727th century break. Only Stephen Hendry and Ronnie O'Sullivan has made more. I mean, he did leave the auditorium, come back in again, and probably made his worst break off. And that was played. There was no good fortune about that. He'd picked that cannon out. And what a shot. Come up a little bit short with his position there, having to go back. Might be able to hold. No, had to go for the blue.
9.
Just coming around to have a look at the 2 reds that are closest to the black, just to make sure that, there you go, just cleaning the chalk marks off the table. That's what he was looking at there. Got the one to the left of the bunch also.
$14. 15.
All our viewers know how I like to try and study all players. Tell you what, something a lot of people wouldn't really think about, but for me, Mark Williams is the best in the business at it, is walk round the table. I just love it. It's like
22.
He's on a conveyor belt.
23.
He just sort of glides round, stress-free, relaxed shoulders. No tension in there at all as this red struggled in. Even there, such a nice little shot. Made it look so simple, but half ball cannon.
30.
Yeah, both
31.
players are similar with their shot time. They're both around 21, 22 seconds usually. Now you see it. This time he's stuck in the reds. So end of break by the looks of things.
38. Mark Williams, 38.
That poor break-off shot from John Higgins has cost him 38 points. There's a lot of very good safety players in the professional game, but there's a certain amount of them that put the white in such a position it's very difficult to return the safety. And Mark Williams is one of them, and so is John Higgins. They're just not playing the white down the table. They're making it as awkward as possible for their opponent. Is he having a go at this? He did. And it could be very costly indeed. He couldn't see an escape route there, so tried to pot his way out of trouble.
Yeah, he was hoping to get at least close to the pot, and then he gets a fuller cannon on the black, but excuse me, missing it so thick he completely lost the cue ball. It's funny that in the modern game that you think about people's safety game, it kind of used to be about execution of safety shot. It's not about that. It's about the shot that you choose is the most important thing, and therefore the best snooker brain, the best minds of the game are the ones that excel in that department.
6.
I said before, these two great practitioners of the game, two of the very best.
Seven.
Well, he's looked at the black and he's looked at the yellow, and even though he's hampered, the black is the better choice for position. But he's hit the black too thin. Needs to pull up. I think he's just okay. There's one in the middle of those reds that pots, and I think he can just about
40.
reach it. There you see it there.
That's where centre ball striking is so important. You just get more revs on the cue ball, so the cue ball comes back with less effort. That was a beautiful shot, and that's what he does now, Mark. He hits the middle of the cue ball in not every shot, but when he's trying to hit it, he hits it. You see, if you hit
22.
the middle of the ball, you're effectively hitting more volume of ball. Therefore, there's
23.
less effort to impart the spin that you want. Not rocket science, but it's difficult to do it.
You could see there where he was addressing the ball, right down at the bottom of the cue ball to create the backspin.
28.
And winning this frame
29.
means that he's guaranteed a lead going into the second session.
$34. 35.
And still, the steady pace remains. Nothing hurried. So many elements of this sport that people don't maybe think of. Breathing, walking, everything.
40.
It's all part of your game out there. When I say breathing,
41.
just trying to... It's easy to walk round the table and sort of be holding your breath, and then obviously the tension can build. It's important to try and relax.
Already Mark's highest break in this year's final.
48. $49.
But this frame, a clear indication of how good it is to make a good break-off shot, which John didn't do after making that century break. Brought a red down, and that
54.
opened the door for the 38 break to start this frame.
55.
That's those revs in the cue ball again. Top reaction out of
61.
the cue ball.
And top reaction to your opponent knocking a century break, coming back with this.
$68. 70.
So all of a sudden this final picking up pace, both players cueing well, as you would expect.
$73.
And what about this for a positional shot?
77. $82. $88.
What a way to respond to your opponent in the century break.
Mark Williams.
Right back with a break of 38 and then finished off with that fantastic clearance. And now Mark Williams leads John Higgins by 5 frames to 1.
$95, and as you were saying, it could and probably should have been better.
It could have, but yeah, it's a frame-winning chance that he took. Worrying times for John Higgins. These next 2 frames are important for him because 7-1 would be awful.
It would, and suddenly, if he's sensing weakness in John this afternoon, he's got to jump on this, hasn't he?
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have sensed weakness from the century that John Higgins
Indeed.
made, but he's bounced back straight away, and like a boxing match, he's given him a dig of his own with that total clearance. Well, not total clearance, but 90-odd break. Yeah, and as I said earlier, it is damage limitation for John Higgins. Can he get out of this 5-3? You would think possibly they might share the frame. 6-2 is not the best, but Steve certainly doesn't want 7-1. But that, you know, the other side of the coin, that's what Mark Williams will be going for.
We did have a laugh at a tweet earlier on saying that Mark just might start running out of steam here, but there's absolutely no sign of it so far, Steve.
No, and he does look back to his brilliant best. Every match starts off with a new storyline to unfold, and 4 sessions, plenty of things can happen. Many times here at the Crucible, we've seen one player dominate a session, and then the next session, the other player's completely reversed the role. And you can put it past John Higgins to get himself and regroup. But it will be about regrouping, I think, mentally, and perhaps sometimes even regrouping after the first day, waking up a bit fresher. Because I remember being in front of Jimmy White by a long way, and felt like I'd had the domination of the first day, but Jimmy came out firing on all cylinders a second, and Stephen's done similar as well.
And even in this championship, John Higgins was 4-1 down against Judd Trump, came back and managed to knock him out in a final frame decider. Back we go to Alan and Dennis.
Yes, there's actually been a lot of finals down the years with huge comebacks. Even last year, John Higgins, he led Mark Selby, not sure, around 10-3 at one stage. Certainly 9-3, I remember. So many times Mark Selby himself been well behind to Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Well, if ever he needed a long pot, this is it, because he can get on the black if he knocks this in. Wonderful cueing.
Yeah. Just starting to come alive now, this final, as we knew it would. He actually potted a red in the other corner last night, yesterday against Kyron, didn't he, to win the last frame, to kick off the break that won the last frame. So it just signs here that both players are starting to just grow into this final. As the boys said, John really could be doing with Nick in the last couple of frames.
9.
There's still 4 reds available for John here.
60. Yep.
I think he wants to leave the one. He's on the one at the back of the pack there, but he wants to leave that there for later so that he can possibly pot that and split the reds when he does that. So he's away at 3 or 4 shots ahead. Let's see how he gets himself
70.
on that red I mentioned here. Looks as if he can screw back in behind it. Now he's left himself a bit straighter on this, so won't be able to do it this time.
24. $25.
So he's picked off all the loose
32.
ones. 4 reds, 4 blacks.
$33.
And a pretty good angle, but they're not a good pack to go into. He'd want to stun into the left red at the back there. He wouldn't mind springing off to the left with the loose red available, which is what he's done, and he's played it very well indeed.
40.
Played that extremely well. And now just play for the blue here.
$41.
I'm pleased to see this standard now from both players. There could have been a lot of tactical play. They're both brilliant at that, but they're in potting mode. And John up to 91%, but look at Mark sitting at 93% with his pot success rate. Look at Mark at 88% with a long pot. Oh, that got a big bounce off the cushion. That really did come off the cushion. That's baffled John. He can't believe that
46.
one. And that spoiled the break. He just played once again for a single ray, but that come off the cushion much faster than it went onto it.
John Higgins, 46.
Well, he's left a bit of a tempter here for Mark Williams. He didn't intend to. All of the white on the baulk cushion. I'm just wondering if he could take a double on here as a free shot. He'd be on the black. The red at the back of that little bunch could be possibly on for a double, and John's very good at that type of shot. He's just checked to see if he would leave anything. And he wasn't, so has he got it? Of course he has. The Higgins family there. And I just noticed Josephine on the right there. She's come down as well. One of the best, Alan, at picking out doubles, John?
Well, he's
8.
the best, there's no question. Remember that
9.
famous final against Judd Trump? He doubled the pink to leave a mid-distance black to win the title. How's the split? No, not terrible, not perfect. At least the
16.
I can see the one to the middle. That's a little bonus. Be careful with these. These are not as easy as might look. Sometimes you just don't see the line properly. Well done.
70.
Just the red, and back to 3 behind.
23.
Very interesting final frame of the session coming up. John can close to 5-3. He'd be going in tonight feeling
24.
really quite positive, actually.
Yeah, you don't lose your form in a day here after you've produced the snooker that this
31.
man has. As I mentioned, against
32.
Kyron Wilson, 2 centuries and a 90 in the last, well, 3 of the last 4 frames.
$38. $39. $46. $47.
Yeah, it's unlucky with the cannon, so it'll be cross double.
52.
Not this time.
John Higgins, 52.
But a good response from John Higgins. And he closes the gap to just 3 again, at trailing 5 frames to 2.
It is, yeah, proof you
John
can't
Higgins to
you
break.
can't keep a good man down all the time, but massive. It always feels like the last frame of a session is worth double.
Back we go. Alan and Dennis.
This is definitely the last frame of this session. Mark wasn't quite sure. He asked the referee, Brendan Moore, who confirmed that it will be the last frame. Under 2 hours, just 1 hour 50 minutes and counting. And 15 minutes and 40 seconds average frame time. Mark Williams just tapped his leg there in appreciation. Usually they tap the table, but that time just patted his leg to say, good shot, John. Delicate, very delicate. Delicate, very delicate again. Do with a touching ball here, but it's not. You can still play away up the table. Just got to be a little bit wary of the red nearest the blue. Doesn't want to hit the brown. That's a poor shot from John, it has to be said. Mark Williams should never have had a look at this one.
He just somehow knew that was in. Just brushed it in. Love the way he played it, actually. Didn't overhit it. Feature of Mark Williams' style.
6.
Here it is again. See, tension sometimes makes you overhit shots like that, but Got an exponent in the game that doesn't really feel it, so he's able to just brush it in, as I say.
7.
He's a big lad here. He'll need to be to reach this pink, but I wonder how much work he wants to put in the cue ball, if any. Yeah, happy to play in the loose red. Play very, very well, though. Not absolutely certain here, is he? Playing, he might even play the cannon on the black.
Look at the putt success rate in the last 3 frames, 97%. Doesn't want to be straight on the black, and he's not. But unusual, look at
14.
the reds. They're like the reversed. It's as if the pyramid was facing the other way. Never seen that before. Well, that's the end of break. That's the first real careless shot that Mark has played. A little shake of the head
21.
tells you what he thinks of that.
The cushion's still on the slow side. John's been struggling with that as well, especially this black cushion. Trying to push the yellow safe there, Mark.
Paul Williams, 21.
And now the yellow that you mentioned there, Alan, will be the target for the safety shot. It's as if you were trying to play a cannon onto the yellow, and you know you have a chance of a snooker. Almost. Had he have made contact with that yellow full ball, he would have had the snooker.
He's having a go at this, I think, Mark. First shot of this match he potted was not dissimilar, but this is tougher. Yep, not this time. Yes, the he's having to inject so much pace into that.
Everything's safe though. This red won't pass the other red up into the corner. Just thinking about screwing back behind the black. Which would mean he'd have to knock this red onto the one that's closest to the middle pocket and screw back behind the black.
He's just here, he's just trying to work something out of nothing. When there's nothing on, just play a nothing shot. I think, you know, these players are, sometimes you get greedy. Last frame of the session, you want to make it happen. But if it's not on, don't play it. At least he's getting a good cue ball. He's playing the plant. Yeah, perhaps he tried to just slip off that red and slide in off the other one. As I say, the main thing was he was always guaranteed a good cue ball.
The only thing with that last shot he attempted, he's given the initiative to Mark. And if he gets the white tight, he's got the advantage. Just enough to be able to screw back, as you can see. And it's a pretty good one. It's the first awkward frame we've had, really. 4 reds up the other end of the table.
those frames, isn't it, where both players having to just work so hard every shot. A, try and put your opponent in trouble, and B, don't leave a red to either middle pocket. And with a red near the yellow bag as well, any loose cue ball, you pay the penalty. It's a stressful frame, the way this is, and especially being the last of the session. I think both players are enjoying things out there, but not just at present. This is a tough old frame.
Yeah, there's not one player in the game enjoys this type of frame where they all go up the other end of the table. Now, this is a big shot he's taking on here. Huge shot. That was very risky and could be very costly. John comes into the table and, wow, he can't believe the easy starter he's got here.
One.
Talking about, excuse me, both players enjoying it yet. A school of thought that if you can enjoy the journey, the destination looks after itself. So I think both players have enjoyed this to a degree. It's been tough going in stages. Definitely been better after the mid-session interval. Now, can John just close this frame out? But he's playing under huge pressure, even the way the balls are.
I know he's got a lot of balls to pot, but if he somehow can come out of this session just 2 behind at 5-3 after being 4-0 behind, he'll be delighted.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be worried at all going in this evening's session, because he'll have in his mind as well that frame 4, on a break of 55, and got a terrible contact. It definitely cost him the frame, or cost him. Well, he'd have been guaranteed to win the frame but for the kick. So he'll not be stressed going in 5-3 behind. A long, long way to go.
20.
And he does look in good nick when he's in close, and that's the important thing.
$21.
That's the figure he's looking to get to,
26.
67. And to get to that
27.
figure, he's going to have to pot quite a few balls, because after the blue, with the reds situated as they are, he's going to be on the lower valued colours.
$32. Thank you. 33.
Yeah, wisely just taking the kick out of the equation this time. Playing for the red down this end. Good thinking, that.
36.
Well, he's had a premature glance at the scoreboard there. He's only 16 points in
37.
front, so Got to keep potting balls until the frame's safe. The two reds to the right of the yellow, they're okay. They're in nice potable positions. I love this shot as they zoom in on the table. It just gives you an indication of how
43.
big the snooker table is, 12 foot by 6 foot.
.46.
Had to pot quite a few balls to get 46.
Yeah, 25 in front before
47.
that red. John Higgins' snooker brain has been working overtime in this contribution, working out what he needs. Just peeling off these reds and hopefully not going to require the one in the side cushion. So 31 in front, the big shot now. Good position
52.
on the colour for the red and bulk.
I think the easiest colour to play for would be the blue. Needs to keep coming though.
53.
Needs to keep coming. He's the wrong side of the blue to get to the red. Near the yellow. And he's 32 in front. He's going to need the blue and one more red.
Why is he not even looking at the green? I just don't understand that.
Well, you know what he's looking at, Alan. He's looking at one of his famous doubles to clinch the frame.
Yeah, I mean, fair play if he pots it, but
58.
why is he not even looked at the green? This is risky. Oh, well done. Great shot.
59.
Made sure of the double. Wasn't too concerned about getting on the black. That was the most important part of the shot. But there's just one snooker needed at the moment, so you'd have to be very careful here because the way the balls are situated, no problem getting a snooker.
John Higgins, 59.
Yeah, that break that John made, he had to pot 21 balls.
Yeah, and John putting the black safe at the tail end of that visit. I know exactly what he was thinking. He thinks if Mark Williams gets a red black, look at where brown is to get a snooker. Red, black, yellow, green, pretty much guaranteed snooker if he got that far. So he was wise to park the black. Good tip by Mark.
What's he got up his sleeve here? There's a possible back double on. He's looking at the maybe the chance of playing a snooker to send the red past the yellow. that way. He's sending the red twice across and stunning in behind the yellow. Well, he slotted it in. He played it in such a way that he might have got the snooker, but to pot the red at that angle into the middle pocket was top class.
3.
Mark getting his bits together there.
5.
Before the start of play, if someone had have said to Mark Williams, he'll take the session 5-3, he would have taken it gladly.
8.
He's marching around the table now, John Higgins. Chance to go and relax with some of his family and get himself
12.
ready for the evening session.
17.
A very
23
entertaining
and
first session
John Higgins.
from these two former world champions. Mark Williams led 4-0, so John Higgins, he'll be pleased to have closed the gap to just 2. He's 5-3 behind though.
Yep, he was 4-0 down, and at that point our team of experts were talking about damage limitation. And guys, what do you make of the level of damage limitation that he's achieved in the second part of that session then?
Superb from John Higgins' perspective. You know, like not relieved, but he'll be delighted with the way he's sort of closed that session out. And whilst obviously, you know, Mark Williams has got the jump on him, he looks a lot more comfortable at the end of that session than he did at the start.
Such a relief with that century in the fifth frame, wasn't it?
Yeah, 4-0 down. He needed a frame quickly, and to do it convincingly, you know, one visit with a century break would have made him feel a whole lot better. Because in the first 4 frames, I don't think I've ever seen John as uncomfortable in a major final as he was.
It did not settle at all. It was very strange to see.
No, and of course, you know, he got a kick as well, which could have changed the equation a bit. You know, and then at the end of the frames, it looks even worse. But he does, as Alan McManus said, I think, and it was mentioning, he does look more likely to score heavily amongst the balls. So, you know, that may play its part, especially as he can keep in touch with Mark Williams. Mark Williams is a different style player. He still makes loads of breaks, but he's a sort of, like, sometimes can be quite a clever player making breaks and smashing to the pack as often. But you know, these are small differences. Most of the players play the correct shot all the time. OK,
so that's 1 out of 4 sessions complete. How did you guys break this final down over 2 days? How did you think about it, Stephen?
I try to win every session, and that takes care of itself. Sometimes you're going to have bad sessions like John's just had, and it's, you know, keep repeating damage limitation, try and come out of it with the best result possible. But yeah, I kind of thought if I come out and win each match, then that takes care of itself. You got to play one, you know, the old cliche, play one shot at a time. You can't afford to think ahead. But I certainly think it was good for me to think, yeah, I can go and you can win the final early. You know, you can break the back of your opponent, you know, in 2 or 3 sessions in a final like this.
Does it have a different perspective when you're sitting in here watching a final than when you were in the zone out there, clearly? Yeah,
I think certainly from the commentary box you can sometimes see the game differently, and certainly from the studio where we're sort of analysing from afar, you can sort of, you know, make more of situations other than the fact it's just 2 guys playing, knocking balls in, trying to get them all in the pockets. Me personally, when I was out there, I don't think I even looked at the sessions. I just thought I'd just go out and play, as Stephen says, you know, 1 frame at a time. A bit like in the golfing world, you're just going to play, you know, 1 hole at a time, not look too far ahead, not look too far into the past.
OK, briefly, what are your expectations of session 2 this evening?
Well, it's a longer one, 9 frames. It could go a long way to decide, you know, what's going to happen. I expected a bit more relaxed, both players tonight, more breaks.
OK, we shall see.